Hey, we are here with Ben Lee today, and we are talking about your most influential records.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. The first one is Liz Phair, Exile in Guyville. It ushered in an era of, it was called lo-fi, I guess, but it was a really well-recorded, beautifully recorded record, but it had a home recording vibe. This was the early 90s. And it's actually the record that really led to my transition from being in a band to also being a solo artist. The Liz Phair record just totally was like the template for, because solo artists before that were like Michael Bolton or Michael Jackson. But they were super high production and high
On the spectrum of Bolton to Jackson.
yeah, on the spectrum of Bolton to Jackson, I didn't know where I fit in. And suddenly with artists like Liz Phair and Lou Barlow and Daniel Johnson, Elliott Smith, there was sort of this idea of like the lo-fi home recording solo artist, which really set me up for the kind of career I would have. There's a song called The Divorce Song, which is kind of a fictional narrative about a couple taking a trip and fighting on a road trip, and how it basically foreshadows them getting a divorce. The way Liz was able to talk about this brutal subject matter, so heartbreaking, but at the same time have it be like you could sing along and you could like it was just such like the perfect mix of like sad and sweet. I think happy sounding songs with sad lyrics or sad sounding songs with happy lyrics are really they just ignite something within the human heart.
Yeah.
There's an artist called Loudon Wainwright III, who was a folk singer. He was sort of known at the time, I guess, as like an sort of also ran Bob Dylan, like one of these like aspiring singer-songwriters. And now sort of most famously known as Rufus Wainwright's dad. He wrote a song about Rufus when Rufus was a baby called Rufus is a Tit Man, about watching his son breastfeed and feeling jealous because, it's his wife, obviously. But Loudon is a very confessional, very detailed folk singer-songwriter. Like his songs all of them were little story songs. I really got inspired by that sort of folk storytelling tradition, that every song should have an actual meaning to it and a purpose.
Well, so many of your songs do that as well.
Yeah, I think that started back then. Literally, it's something I hold so dear to me as a songwriting principle that I would say it's like every song. And like Neil Young talks about that too. He's like, don't write a song unless there's an idea. That really came from being a Loudon Wainwright fan, and I just love his songwriting. Slanted and Enchanted by Pavement. My band Noise Addict, one of our first gigs was opening for Pavement at the Lansdowne Hotel. To my generation, they were just the effortless cool that I think is really important in anything that's the aspirational side of music for me. Pavement were probably the first band that were that were just cool. Like coming out of being like a metal fan where everyone's like, yes, we are,
So intense.
we're rocking hard for you. We're going to give you the best night of your life. We're going to, lock up your daughters, all that. And then like getting into indie rock where it was just so just
You could
like,
take a breath. It was
like-
just chill.
it's like, we're
It was
barely
easy.
trying.
Yeah.
We're barely trying and we're going to change your life. That was like that record
Yeah.
for me in a nutshell. And I was 14 years old. And I'm way more of a tryhard than Pavement. Or I just don't think I pull off effortlessness in the same way. In some ways, I think people that like my music kind of like it because you can see me struggling and trying things that don't always work and all that. But it's something to aspire to. The DJ thing's funny because I got into it so late. Like, I started learning how to DJ probably at, I think, 42 years old. So
Amazing.
But so there's no pretense in my mind that I'm like the best at it or amazing, or like it's so obviously something like I'm just having fun with. And I think that is what people connect with.
Yeah.
And I do think in some ways like the courage to do things like that without caring about people laughing or the rejection, that is like aspirational for people, because we all have things we want to try and we're often all scared to step into new territory. And I do think that's the value of sort of public figures or whatever. Like you see, I can think of a million examples, like Kim Kardashian going back to law school. It does make you go a little like, I guess I can learn to DJ if Kim
Cool.
Kardashian can go back to law school.
Yeah. I love that inspirational message from Ben Lee today. Just do the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Just try it. There is no artist that has like affected me like energetically
Yeah.
the way Jay-Z has. Jay-Z does something to my cell structure. I got into Blueprint 2. I think I got it like the week it came out, or I remember hearing that girls, girls, girls I do adore. Put your number on this paper because I'd love to date you. Holla at you when I come on tour. It's so
Love it.
good. It became the record that I would put on
Yeah.
when I had to do something difficult or something I was scared to do. Like I actually, it was my eye
It
of
was
the
your
tiger.
pump up. Yeah.
It was probably what like Lose Yourself
Yep.
is for people, you know, like a generation after that. But I just saw, I actually wrote a song called What Would Jay-Z Do that came out on Ripe. The persona he created was someone who was interested in bettering themselves, not just financially, not just moving from like being a crack dealer to being a CEO, but also someone that was like wanted to be a better person.
Yeah.
And someone that wanted to sort of broaden their palette of their tastes and their understanding of culture. And their, you know, he has a line on one of his records. He's like, I might just be getting nicer. And that is like an amazing thing from a rapper to brag about. But it is like aspirationally, it is sort of something that like we should aspire for with success.
Yeah.
That not only to like make money and have creative freedom and all that, but also to become like a kind of person. I think what's interesting about following someone over a long period is that like you get to watch the inner workings of their creativity and their mind. If we genuinely believe some of these artists are geniuses, then surely even their least successful work holds gems that we should be on the lookout for instead of just discarding people when they get older. It's pretty interesting when you meet young artists who haven't been tested. I met an artist who was having some success who said to me, Ben, have you ever put out a single that has just been like crickets? And I've been like, dude, I've had whole decades that are crickets.
That's
I mean,
life.
like part of what like being a lifer is that you weather those storms and you prove yourself.
Yeah.
And I have total respect for people that leave the game because it's not for them or it's too hard or they have other pressures. You know, everyone has different situations. But I do think at the end of the day, it's the people who can't stop that are the real, like, they're just meant to be doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly would not stop.
what else would
if
you
I
be
didn't
doing?
have one
Yeah.
fan, I still wouldn't stop because I'd be forcing my wife to listen to my songs. Like, I just like, I do it because I can't not do it. And I do think that is similar, we were talking about before, just the aspirational side. Like, I think we do need to see people who like kind of surrender to their destiny and go, can't stop, won't stop. You know, it's inspiring.
Can't stop, won't stop. That is the message from Ben Lee today. Thank you so much for catching up with us.
Thanks for having me.